Fast forward, any come out channel so RCGH Politics Avenue. Podcast or training because making headlines. And a gym right now you be exom one idiom young black say ene Eddie Kanya Unia, Mr. So which must subscribe to the channel Eddie Amami. You know leave you comment under the comment section. Yamin shock so I Eddie Amami. Na Ahmed Suale, new gunu, na in him say a buying a crow and a fee. Unia, any day what the ruling about any asem koto akra. Mempese me kama sem bibre na this point in time no yemo ransem nim na yemfo ba chene so am say how say AGH Politics Avenue.
District Court has discharged the lead suspect in the murder of investigative journalist Ahmed Suale. Daniel Ǎccǔseď, an investigative journalist, had been charged with abetment of crime and murder in connection with the death. He pleaded not guilty and was on a 50,000 Ghana cedi bail. Lord Eduasare reports.
Daniel Ǎccǔseď was arraigned before the Medina District Court on March 19 following his arrest. Prosecution alleged that he led two other alleged culprits currently at large to the home of Ahmed Suale, where he was eventually shot and killed by unknown assailants. In court on Tuesday, October 14, prosecution led by Nanefua Bamfo informed the court that they had been directed by the Attorney General to discontinue the case. Following the prosecution's withdrawal, presiding judge Susan Nyakote then ordered that Daniel Ǎccǔseď be discharged and disposed of the case. Counsel for Owusu, led by Emma Jean Markin, expressed satisfaction at the development but chastised the prosecution.
I think that we were abandoning things that happened 2019, which is something that we cannot do in this matter. In 2019, when this issue happened, a lot of things happened. Several arrests have been made. Have we ever heard of anybody being paraded around the way Daniel Ǎccǔseď was paraded around? Has it ever been heard? But there have been several arrests. If there was more work done, like the way some media houses were saying FBI investigations, it would certainly not be pointing at my clients because you would have known that the gentleman was all the time in the country.
She further disclosed that Daniel's mental health had been impacted by the case.
After the arrest and after his bail, he's even having to seek medical attention. He's had a lot of emotional trauma. It's not been easy, even for us as lawyers.
The Attorney General discontinued the case due to one, lack of sufficient evidence to continue the prosecution of Daniel. He indicated that the sketch which was available to the police did not match with the description of the lead suspect, Daniel Ǎccǔseď. Another thing that came up was that although his phone was pinged at the location where Ahmed Suale was killed, that is in itself is not enough for him to be prosecuted or held for his murder.
It remains to be seen what direction the murder trial of investigative journalist Ahmed Suale would take as his assailants appear to be gone with the wind.
Well, let's bring you a timeline of events on the Ahmed Suale murder case. We'll bring that to you on your screens shortly. On January 16, 2019, if you recall, Ahmed Suale was shot by unidentified motorbike assailants in Medina. Following that, the Ghana Police Service formed a 13-member committee to investigate. Suale's family accused MP Kennedy Ejapon of inciting the murder, which he denied. And then in February 2019, CID Director at the time, Director General Mahama Tiwa Addo reported significant progress in the case, though no details were provided. And then in March, on March 29, 2021, the former IGP met with the Attorney General regarding unresolved homicides, including Suales, and received a CID report. On July 27, 2021, Attorney General Godfrey Addo informed Parliament that no prosecutable docket had been submitted and noted that his follow-up with then IGP James Opombuenu, 5 years after the murder, the Attorney General reiterated that no prosecutable dossier had been presented. In March 2025, which is earlier this year, Daniel Ǎccǔseď, aka Akwesi Amache, a former associate at Tiger IPI, was arrested upon returning from the UK after previously evading police summons. And then during investigations, evidence and witness testimony linked Kranting to providing photographs taken with Suale Now, these images were later used by MP Kennedy Ejapong, fueling accusations that he incited violence against Suale. Kranting, however, has consistently denied selling the photos. In March of this year, on the 19th, Kranting was arraigned at the Medina District Court on murder charges, and he was remanded into custody with the case adjourned until April 1. Now, Daniel Owusu Kranting was denied bail by the Medina District Court on April 1 after the prosecution amended the charge sheet. Now, May 13, 2025, he was granted bail by the Accra High Court after being denied bail by the Medina District Court. In August, the Medina District Court ordered the prosecution to finalize investigations and file the bail of indictment, which brings us to today. The Medina District Court discharged Daniel Owusu Kranting following the Attorney General's advice to discontinue prosecution due to insufficient evidence linking him directly to the crime.
So obviously it's been a long, winding journey, but now we have evidence of what the Attorney General has said about the Ahmed Suale case. Subsequently, we'll update you on what else comes up. Let's go to Parliament now, because the minority in the House has kicked against assertions by the Health Minister that the past government, that is the NPP government, is responsible for the high number of unpaid nurses and midwives in the country. Ranking member on the Health Committee, Dr. Ayu Ifriye, says a financial clearance was granted for over 15,000 health workers, criticizing government for what he describes as leadership failure. Christian Yale has more.
Nurses and midwives embarked on street protest for unpaid salaries. Their frustrations and agitations were laid bare, prompting widespread concerns. The health minister in a media engagement said government inherited a difficult situation but is working to right the wrongs of the past administration.
We inherited a situation where about 13,500 nurses and midwives had been recruited and posted without financial clearance. When a financial clearance is issued, you must necessarily migrate the health professionals onto the payroll before the expiration of the clearance. And so we had two options as government: whether to let all the 13,500 nurses and midwives go home. And the second option was to allow them to continue to work whilst we look at how we can get money to pay them.
But the minority would not have any of that, calling the minister's comment non-factual.
All those who the ministry recruited with regards to this clearance had their 5 months salaries from July, August, September, October. Now the difference is that the ministry was able to do its validations and they did it spot on. This clearance expired on the 31st by item 7. Now, in normal public administration and civil service of this country, financial clearances expire. Even under this government, they will have financial clearances expire and they will go for extension. They did not extend this for political reasons. And then 10 months down, they faced an embarrassment where the students or the staff went on a public agitation, demonstration, to draw your mind to this clearance and the need for extension. Embarrassing enough, you are saying that you've taken it to cabinet for an approval. What sort of cabinet do you have to take for an approval when you have a clearance already?
The minority is saying that, see, they have been very reasonable over the period and seen to it that they would extend a goodwill, not to even the government of the day, but to the ordinary Ghanaian citizens who need healthcare facilities or services for their daily living. But they just realized that government is, in a way, making the whole situation political, for which reason they have seen the need to respond to this.
You're throwing dust in the eyes of the people. So government created a mess. And they've seen 10 months, it's caught up on them, and they are fixing it. And that's when you take political decisions. You see, the minority, we are a reasonable minority. We cannot continue to be reasonable when you take the youth of this country for granted. The youth of this country matter, Ghanaians matter, nurses matter, and midwives also matter. Government should come and tell us that there was no clearance. There was, it expired. And they should tell us if indeed in public administration there has not been clearance which had expired and has been extended. It's not news. They should pay them now because the money was allocated. They should pay them now.
With the politics playing out and each side seeking to make their case, the stranded and frustrated health workers have only a wish that their salaries are paid and conditions made better. Christian Yali, TV3 News, Parliament.
Moving on, after a roller coaster ride in recent months, the Ghanaian cedi is once again on a strong upward path, gaining more value against the US dollar within just a month. On the international market, the local currency is currently trading at around 11.40 to the dollar, although Bank of Ghana interbank rates still hover around 11.94 cedis. Market analysts have attributed the sharp appreciation to the central bank's recent injection of $1.15 billion in foreign exchange into the economy, coupled with heightened speculative activities on the forex market. The BOG's move, aimed at boosting liquidity and easing import pressures ahead of the Christmas season, appears to have improved sentiments around the city, with total foreign reserves now estimated at $10.74 billion, providing about 4.5 months of import cover. The intervention is expected to stabilize prices, sustain confidence, and maintain relative exchange rate stability through the festive period. Now, my colleague Martin Isiedudate is at the magic wall to bring us more on that. Martin, how would you say the cedi is doing currently?
The cedi is doing very well. It's actually quite healthy, and it's interesting you use the word roller coaster because it's not been an easy ride for the cedi. So we'll look at what exactly the cedi has been through. And this graph here paints a picture of what the cedi has been through right from the middle of this year, or let's say May 2025, when the cedi was around 15 cedis. It started a huge depreciation run, or it started dropping quite rapidly, and many attributed this to the new government that had come into power, the NDC government. And then the question started coming, what exactly is going on to the cedi? What's happening? Because we seem to be doing well all of a sudden. And the president spoke. President spoke and said that the cedi will find its true value around 12 Ghana cedis to the dollar. And coincidentally, just when it had hit 9, 10 there, I beg your pardon, 10 from 11, then it started rising gradually, hit about 12.5, and then stabilized, stood there for a while. Then it brought that understanding. The president said that the cedi will find its true value. Many economists indicated that had the cedi continued its downward spiral, where we're looking at probably 9 cedi to the dollar or 8 cedi to the dollar, it would have its own effect on the economy. So this is where many economists say the cedi's true value currently stands. But over the last few days, the Bank of Ghana decided to inject this amount of money, $1.15 billion into the economy because of the period we are in. We are inching closer to the Christmas period. So a lot of importers would need forex or foreign exchange to bring in many of the things we use during Christmas. And so just the announcement of this and the action of actually releasing this amount into the economy, the cedi has moved from 12 and then gradually getting to 11. So today, as we speak, if you go to the forex tomorrow, you're likely to get it around 11.4 or 11.5, depending on where you buy your dollar from. So this is the amount government injected into the economy. And why did they decide to do that? Because coincidentally, as a country, our reserves seem to be quite stable. So Ghana currently, as of August 2025, has $10.74 billion in our reserves. So, which means that if you take all that amount of money we have in our reserves, and we look at how much we need for monthly imports into the country, this amount will take us for about 4.5 months or 4.5 months of import cover. And based on that, government decided to take some amount from it and inject this amount. So 1.5 was taken from this 10 billion. A year ago, that was somewhere in December, this was our total import cover, 8.9 billion, which was really scary because it meant that we had just about 2 months of import cover, 2 to 3 months of import cover, but now we've appreciated significantly. And when that amount of money is released into the economy, this is what happens, the cascading effect. So Bank of Ghana releases the money, it sort of stabilizes the cedi, and then it gives Forex, makes it available for investors and importers to quickly go, so that easy access to the Forex, import things because we are in the last quarter of the year, so we can get our Christmas goods. And what impact does it have on your pocket? It means that at least whatever it is you're going to be buying, you're going to have a stable price period for a longer period of time. So primarily, this decision by the Bank of Ghana and the Finance Minister is going to ensure that throughout the Christmas period, hopefully into the first quarter of next year, we should be okay when it comes to money and the economy. Aisha?
Martin, we are generally happy that the cedi is making some gains, especially because we're entering the festive season.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you very much. Let's move on to education now. The Ministry for Education is taking steps to address the pressure on top-performing senior high schools across the country. Education Minister Haruna Iddrisu says plans are underway to secure funding for the expansion of Category A school infrastructure starting next year.
The computerized school placement system continues to face criticism from students and parents. Many families are frustrated after their wards fail to gain admission to Category A schools institutions that remain in high demand but have limited capacity. Speaking at the inauguration of governing councils for the College of Education in Accra, the minister said government is committed to reducing these challenges by increasing intake capacity in top-tier schools.
76,000 vacancies of Category A, 393 desirous applicants. Given this, every other person would have struggled. But at least we owe the learners an opportunity that they can progress in their career from basic schools to secondary education and to aspire to taste tertiary education.
The minister also emphasized government's resolve to improve the quality of teacher education nationwide. He officially inaugurated new governing councils for the various colleges of education.
I'm aware of your infrastructure deficit and will do better in the coming days. Even if resources were available, we would make more resources available to the colleges of education. I know a number of the institutions, even vehicles to travel and to undertake basic visits to educational institutions is lacking. I know some of the institutional heads are using vehicles as old as 18 years. That is not good enough.
In a related development, Haruna Iddrisu announced that government has approved the payment to the book and research allowance for the academic staff in the colleges. The Education Ministry says it will continue working with key stakeholders to enhance access, equity and quality across Ghana's education system.
In more news this evening, the Vice President, Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, has urged residents living along the Volta Lake to ensure the wearing of life jackets anytime they want to cross the lake. She has, on behalf of government, given over 600 life jackets to the people. The Vice President was in Ekuman, where a canoe capsized, resulting in the loss of lives of 15 people, 11 of whom were children.
On Saturday, October 11, a wooden canoe capsized on the Volta Lake in the Kitikrachi district of the Oti region, killing 15 people, 11 of whom were children. They were said to be mourners from Bawumia, a small fishing village, who had travelled to Okuman for a funeral. The Vice President, Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, on Tuesday visited the people in Kitikrachi to commiserate with them. She told the people they are not alone in this time of grief and assured them of government's support. Let us all support and work together to ensure this type of accident becomes a thing of the past.
na nyina ye mo ye ho ban na ye koye nimi dia esino enkofom na enyira kra.
She asked them to always use the life jackets anytime they cross the river in order to save lives.
Ye besre pa ye pamucho yenhye na ewo kwan ya ebo nipa ho ban enti nka wa mo ye trotro na mo ye bobo ya ne ade won.
We ayan sama woro timi ko so channel no so mamno ase so jemre e wo hada sene so ba de ndia dumbi edomiania onua e besia ba wram ni asomo kwan so kra.